Let's get more on this case, joined by the journalist and essayist Natacha Henry. Natacha's an expert on gender-based violence and is also an international consultant for the Council of Europe. Natacha, thank you for being with us. I'm wondering what you make of this case, because we all have an image, if we've been part of French culture for a number of years, of Gerard Depardieu as a younger actor with energy and vibrancy. And now, of course, this has painted a completely different image of Depardieu, the man, the actor.
Yes, what is quite surprising, I find, is that when the producers of that film and the director and everybody else around that movie hired him in 2021, he was already under investigation for rape. And so it was something that was already known, that he had this bad behavior, to say the least, towards women who are usually under him in the hierarchy of cinema.
So there's a real influence there that he's taking advantage of.
He's taking advantage of vulnerable women. I mean, vulnerable because they don't have his status. They are not at his level in the way of reputation and everything, which is what we find in French companies, in French hospitals, and everywhere in France. You have people who think they can get away with this, with the sexual harassment and everything, because they are assaulting women who are not in such a strong place.
So a pattern, not just in cinema, not just with Depardieu, but with allegedly Depardieu, innocent until proven guilty, of course, that is all going through. But it's a pattern within society, men using their power and influence to exploit, to take advantage of sexually women.
Fortunately, we have laws in this country, and all this is no longer possible. So I really encourage women who work for French companies or with French, in a French situation or French cinema to tell everybody about what's happening, because some people will believe them. And there's also a very interesting point, is witnesses. A witness doesn't need, according to the French law, to have seen the thing happening. A witness can be somebody you have talked to after it's happened, and this person will be a witness, and in that kind of situation it's very, very important, and it will be brought to the case.
So that breaks down Depardieu's lawyer's argument about there were no witnesses who saw what happened, because
there were.
Clearly the people who suffered, or the women who suffered at his hands, they spoke about it, but you say there were others who saw it as well.
They were witnesses. They both went to see doctors who gave them sick leave for about a week, both of them. So that's pretty impressive in your legal file. So yeah, talk to everybody. And also there is a law in France that also says that you cannot be prosecuted for having helped a victim or having spoken up, because maybe the victim is too embarrassed, too shy, too frightened, too scared, too weak, too vulnerable to say anything. But please, everybody else around, do something, and nothing can happen to you in the workplace. They can't fire you or hold it against you if you speak in favor of a victim.
It's very difficult, isn't it, though, for a woman to actually stand up and say something. Very difficult. It's still this stigma which goes with it, of perhaps being blamed, which is completely unjustified, of course. And also this fear that in spite of what you said about laws, you will still somehow become the victim if you speak out.
Yes, I go to companies and I talk about the prevention of sexual harassment. One thing that people don't know yet in this country is that the law now includes stupid jokes, for instance. All the sexual jokes and sexist jokes that used to be funny for them are now considered as sexual harassment. It's taken very seriously now in this country. Of course, there's always somebody who will say, she was looking for it. But in the case of Gerard Depardieu, I don't know how you could be on his side. I mean, he's got a whole list of behavior like this.
This whole argument of a woman dressing in such a way which says she's looking for it, I mean, it's such an abhorrent thing to say, because everybody should have the freedom to dress, to feel, to act and be how they are, how they feel they are, and not be a threat from somebody's predatory behaviour.
Also, it's not true, because they do that no matter what you're wearing. Yeah. So it's not because of your miniskirt that somebody will, in the workplace, maybe on the street it could be different, but
it's about power, isn't it? It's about having that power over someone. It's about expressing that power.
It's so cruel to do this, because the woman goes to work on the film set or anywhere else, and she wants to have a normal day at work and get paid for it. But she has to change her daily routine, park the car somewhere else, avoid this elevator, avoid this office, avoid this corridor. It's very, very time consuming and energy consuming. So I'm very glad that Gerard Depardieu is serving all of us. He's helping all of us to speak up, and he is one big example of what's going on here.
My own daughter opened my eyes to the things that she has to do to make sure that she feels safe. She lives mainly in London. And the things that you're talking about, it really resonates with what my daughter has told me, and it's horrible. And really, society has to change. And Natacha, thank you for coming in and sharing your thoughts and analysis with us, Natacha Henry. And good luck to you with the work at spreading the word, and power to you. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. Natacha Henry there, who is journalist, essayist, and expert on gender-based violence, which is another thing that really must stop, and international consultant for the Council of Europe. Natacha, thanks for being with us here in France 24. We appreciate your time. Next.